This is a detailed review of each Livayo feature. We're on the Organize the Work screen, and we're looking at how to select or change a task sequence. So again, here you have a series of recurring tasks that are necessary to accomplish this job. And you have the frequency, you have the rhythm, who it's assigned to, you have the duration and the specific time. You'll see here, again, this is the notes we've talked about earlier. And then you see here a picture of a DNA string. That is a sequence. So within this, let me just show you. So here is, for example, we have every Monday, we have a meeting. It's actually just a 30-minute call, and it's called the Four Score Call, and it's 30 minutes where we as management quickly go through and assess the 4 drivers just based upon our observations. And so we set that as an organized routine with 3 tasks. The one is to attend. So these 5 people attend. And then there's always, with every meeting, someone who is to conduct. So that way you always know who's in charge of this meeting, whose meeting is this, the person who's conducting. And then we have one called debrief, which is, who's the person who's going to take notes, who's going to do the follow-up work on this meeting. So here under attend, there's a note that gives a little bit of direction. So it just reminds the person what this meeting is about, what the purpose is for. And then here you have a sequence, which is a set of steps. So it says, well, give me more direction. Well, prior to the call, make sure you look at last week's call notes, call in on time. Here's the call-in number, and then be prepared to respond with your subdriver score and your reason why. Here under the person who's debriefing, they say, well, what does that mean? Well, what do you mean by that? And you can talk about it. You can tell them. You can describe it with words. But most of the time, those words get filtered out, and we kind of forget them, and we lose track of the real detail of what this is trying to accomplish, even as simple as the management process of making meetings worthwhile. So this simply says, this task is to debrief each week's 4-score call, look at the sequence, but in summary, is to take notes during the call, summarize the score and the notes. And they say, well, tell me exactly what the sequence is, or what's the steps to that. So we have this, and it says, well, first of all, coordinate the time of the call, because every Monday, sometimes we need to change that, and it's your job to do that. Take notes during the meeting. After the meeting, fill out the driver score in Excel, summarize the notes into action steps or things to work on, and then finally put the meeting summary into the notes section of Attend the 4-score call. And then they say, well, where is this Excel file at? We put a note in that says, oh, well, the 4-score driver Excel is in the Livayo scoring in the folder called Livayo main manage organize, which is how we have our files organized. And then they say, well, what am I taking notes on? Oh, well, take notes including both the why and the what to work on in the meeting and the score. So there is what a sequence is, and even some notes for a sequence. So a lot of people will look at this and say, that's just too much. My experience working with people at every level of organization, not only from rank and file worker, but up to manager and even director, you give this level of direction to people, and they're very grateful. You can take a new CFO of a major corporation who comes in and everyone thinks that person knows exactly what to do, but they're going to bring an organizational routine from their former entity, and they're going to want to know, what is your rhythm? When do you produce the statements? What date do you expect those statements on? Where do they come from? Who do they go to? What is included? Livayo is meant to answer those questions. For a major corporation of $1 billion, right down to a $1 million small company with 5 employees. And again, I have found that when you give this level of direction to people, there's 2 things that happen. They feel more assured in their job, and they can perform better with their personality than trying to figure out the process. And the second thing that happens is, when that person wants to go on and leave to a new job, you know how fast the new person can come in and take over this job and perform nearly the same? About 1 day is what it takes. So again, when you open up a new task, down here you'll see it's blank, and that's because it'll require you to go in and put a new sequence in if you want one, as well as a note, to give that just a little bit more direction to that task. And that is how to select and change a task sequence.